Oh, perfect. I'll leave it to you. I'll keep my
Okay,
chat open and we are all good to go.
awesome. I'll let you take it away.
Yes, Peter, Sari Cohen with Awards Buzz. I'm so happy to get to hang out with you today.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah. So this is a big moment. I just want to I take a minute to acknowledge this moment. It's your directorial film debut and it's the first fully animated feature film of the Looney Tunes franchise to receive a worldwide theatrical release. What does this moment mean to you?
Oh, it's very special. Myself and the crew worked for many years making this film, um, and and it's been a long journey of getting it done and out there to the world. So it feels really amazing that it's actually happening, and it's coming out tomorrow, or premiering tomorrow and coming out in February. Um, so yeah, it's incredible. Like lifelong animation fan, and dreamed of making cartoons my whole life. To be able to say that I play a part in Looney Tunes history is pretty amazing. So yeah, very special time.
So cool. I want to get into all that stuff. But first I want to jump into the movie. I have to tell you, like I am of a certain age, and so for me watching it, it was very reminiscent of uh, to me as a kid felt like Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island. It had that same kind of feeling to me, and I feel like the day the earth blew up is that for this generation.
That's cool. That's nice to see. That's pretty cool. Been a minute since I've seen that one, but I've seen Fantastic Island, Daffy's Fantastic Island.
Yeah.
Those were like that was like a combination shorts, though, right? Those films, they were like, yeah. So that's what's sort of unique about this one is that this is the first sort of original like one story. It's not just sort of framing classic shorts into a thing, which I think are really fun and awesome too. Like Daffy's Fantastic Island and also the Roadrunner movie is really great too. It's one of the only ways to see the Looney Tunes classic Looney Tunes shorts too when you were a kid. It was the like Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie and Fantastic Island. Like they hard to kind of track down when you were in the 80s and 90s.
Mhm. You did a really good job at, I feel like, appealing to multiple generations because it had this wonderful nostalgic feel that brought me back there. But you're dealing with a current storyline and you're bringing in current themes. And so it really is something that I feel like families are going to be able to sit down together and watch. And it's different from anything else that exists out there right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a unicorn. It's definitely a unicorn, and as far as feature animation films, not it's 2D, but also Looney Tunes, sort of very famous, iconic property. But it was very important to make something that appealed to, you know, I said to the crew, and we were working on it, and also writing it and coming up with it, that I want 2 to 92 should be able to enjoy this film. You know, um, Looney Tunes, the classic Looney Tunes, speak to all ages. They speak to all cultures, and they're perfect sort of comedic stories and characters. So it was important that we kept that that feeling, and I love movies like that. I love movies that you can keep going back to no matter what age you are. So I wanted to
Yeah.
try to work towards making something like that.
And speaking of characters and relationships, I do want to get into the relationship between Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. So let's talk a little bit about the dynamic of their relationship and what you wanted to highlight in this movie.
Yeah, we wanted to highlight. We took Porky and Daffy specifically. We picked them to. Well, I picked them to make the movie when I came up with the concept for the film and pitched it to the studio. Was because they're sort of the only non-adversarial or non. They don't want to eat each other. The classic ones. Bugs and Elmer. It's hunters, predator, prey, Sylvester and Tweety. But Porgy and Daffy were friends. They're living together, and it made me think of the classic Abbott and Costello movies from the 40s and 50s. and also other buddy comedies like Dumb and Dumber, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, so specifically wanted to tell a story with those characters, and I wanted to put it in a genre because I thought that there's a history with Porky and Daffy in genres, the Duck Dodgers sort of stuff, but there's also Rocket Squad, other classic shorts where they play detectives or they play they're in medieval times or Robin Hood. There's all these different sort of genre fantasy things. So I knew they worked well as characters in sort of the genre film, genre picture. So that was important. And then the other important thing was we couldn't just do Looney Tunes jokes for 90 minutes. We had to explore their relationship, how they feel about each other, them living together. They've lived together for a very long time. What strains, when they meet Petunia, it puts a little bit of a riff in the relationship, and Daffy kind of feels like a little bit of an outsider to it, and also it makes them question themselves of who they are and who how they feel about each other, and how they learn about themselves a little bit in the film. And I knew that emotional core was very important to be able to tell a story over 90 minutes because have an audience invest in them as characters.
You said something that I want to go back to now. I'm so curious what that initial pitch was. Like, what was that aha moment for you with this where you're like, I have this idea and this is what it looks like. How did you lay that all out?
I was in the heat of production on the Max shorts we did 209 new original Looney Tunes shorts that are very much like the classic or sort of love letters to the classic shorts of Looney Tunes. I was in the heat of production of that, and the studio was asking, about a longer form, a feature film idea. So I put together sort of a board. I knew I love sci-fi B movies from the 50s and 60s. Day the Earth Stood Still, obviously, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, War of the Worlds, Ed Wood films, Plan 9 from Outer Space. So I was like, what if Porky and Daffy were in an Ed Wood movie? What would that be? What would that feel like? Or what if they were in Invasion of the Body Snatchers? What if they were in War of the Worlds? What if they and I go, I love that genre. I love science fiction, classic science fiction. I love Tim Burton. Tim Burton sort of introduced me to all of that stuff as a child, his films and stuff, and his influences as a filmmaker. And it made me explore that stuff. And I go, this could work. So I basically put this together. I got a poster of Invasion of the Saucer Men, and I put some stills from Baby Bottleneck, Bob Clampett cartoon, classic cartoon, and I put them together. I'm like sort of running from the alien, and I put together a bunch of other like just tonal things on a board, and I went in to the execs and I said, "This is it. This is the movie. This is the feel I want to make. This is what I want." And they said, "Let's go. Let's start writing the script." So then I started working with the screenwriter Kevin Costello and all the story artists, and we started formulating and getting this thing going. So
I love that. What was that creative? So cool. The way your mind went from one place to another with that. Um, what was the collaborative process like when you were writing it?
but there's a lot of writers listed on the credits, and that's because I believe animation is written in the storyboard room for the most part. A script is very important as a first sort of blueprint, but storyboarding is writing is about reboarding, sort of reboarding the story, figuring out jokes and characters and moments and set pieces and all these things. So it was very important for me to try to give credit to those storyboard artists that are also writers. You not only write words, they write the dialogue a lot of times that the characters are saying. It's changed so much from the script. They're also writing the shot. What kind of shot is it? That's a language, right? That's a cinematic language. Animation, Looney Tunes. Can you imagine trying to write a script version of a classic slapstick Looney Tunes cartoon? It just wouldn't translate. They were done that way in the 40s. They were drawn with it's almost like a comic strip, right? Where you draw the picture and you write the words underneath it, and you go this and visual. It makes it more visual. It makes it more friendly to animation and slapstick, especially, or just humor, that type of Looney Tunes humor. So hats off to Warner Brothers to allowing that credits to happen that way. So that's what it was. But we would get in a room together. We had the script, and we broke it all down to sequences, and we started redoing the sequences and sort of putting the puzzle together and redid things. We probably reboarded the movie 4 times all through. There's different lot of things ended up on the cutting room floor or the storyboard room floor. But we did the shorts that way. We got together with the directors. We drew gag drawings. We'd sit together in a room, draw. But if and a funny drawing, a picture is 1,000 words, right? So if you get something that's funny, you go, well, that's a sequence. Like the musical number with Busby Berkeley, Alex Kerwan, and the production supervisor producer did a drawing of like, wouldn't it be cool to do like an Art Deco sequence? And I go, that would be amazing. Let's do it. And then we wrote that. We gave it to Mike, one of the board artists, to figure out. So it was very, and I also had a great crew from Looney Tunes cartoons. So had a good shorthand with language. It was an easy transition into making the movie, the feature.
So last thing I want to touch on, we touched on a little bit some of your inspiration and the things that you love genre wise, but like I said in the beginning, one of the things that you did really well was you made it, the tone of it, you made it relatable to my generation and the younger generation today. Was that an intentional thing? And really, I guess I just want to know, what do you think Gen X will love about it, and today's kids are going to love about it?
And what are they on now? I don't even know. What is it? The latest one? No, I wasn't. It wasn't. We didn't go, this joke is a Gen Z joke. I make stuff for myself. Every party on the cruise, we're making it for ourselves. I have a philosophy. If it's entertaining to us, we're the toughest critics. I think it'll translate. I have faith. Sometimes we can be wrong about it, but for the most part, we're making it what's going to make us laugh, and what's going to continue to get laughs. So you write it on a piece of paper, write it in a script, funny, and when you storyboard it, is it still funny? Then you storyboard it 4 or 5 more times, is it still funny after that? Then you put it in animatic and time it out, is it still funny? So it's sort of a kind of a process to weed out the bad ideas or the bad things that aren't working and hone in on the good jokes. And also, a great joke is timeless. So I think that's what it speaks to. But there are things specifically culturally in there that is funny, because it's like we have a good Uber joke. We got a good Starbucks joke. We got a TikTok joke. We got some stuff in there, but I also didn't want to feel like we were just throwing pop culture joke after pop culture joke. I wanted to have a balance of like classic sort of slapstick, silly 40s jokes or humor with that. So it was conscious in some degree, but and also I didn't worry about it having to feel super contemporary. I felt like even if we were doing it in sort of a harkening back to a classic style look of Looney Tunes, I think just because we're growing up in a world now, it was going to feel modern. It was going to feel contemporary in a lot of ways. It wasn't like, you got to be wearing, hats backwards, to be hip and cool or something like that. It was just like, if we lampoon or parody the world we live in now, that's what Looney Tunes always did. It's a mirror. Looney Tunes is the original Mad Magazine, or the original, SNL or whatever. That's where it all came from, is basically Looney Tunes. I mean, you look at all the comedians, Jerry, Conan O'Brien, Looney Tunes. I learned comedy from Looney Tunes. All these great comedians and writers and comedy people are like, goes back to Looney Tunes for a lot of it. Not everything, but a lot of it.
Totally true. Like I said, that was that one of my earliest memories was of Fantastic Island, and how that stuck with me, and how watching this it just conjured that nostalgia and that love for the animated story. You did a brilliant job with it, Peter.
Oh, thank you so much. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's been awesome hanging out with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.